the reason for us to come in here today and to attend this kind of lecture is just to go over the basics, the basic requirement for us as therapists in order for us to be able to assist students in the public system, public school system for musculoskeletal deformities. From my perspective, you guys need to understand why you're going there, because some of you might be very reluctant to the idea. Some of you, as I heard, once you heard the proposal of sending therapists to the school system, some of you were very, very reluctant. Some of you refused the idea from the beginning. But if you understand the objective of you to go there, I believe from my point of view, you're gonna change your mind, okay? I have 10 objectives in mind for us as therapists to go to the school system and assist students. Number one is to actually identify students with musculoskeletal deformities. This is number one, okay? We're gonna put our hands on the students with the scoliosis, kyphosis, talus equinovarus, femoral anteversion, in-toeing, out-toeing. No matter what the problem is, we're gonna just, after the 2 days, we're gonna meet together, we're gonna be able to identify the problem. Once you get into the classroom and see a child standing up and walking, or after understanding the axes and planes and different planes, assessing the students by sitting, standing, prone, supine, and while walking, you're going to have the idea of actually being able to assess these kind of kids for these kind of musculoskeletal deformities. So number one point is for us to identify these kids with musculoskeletal deformities, and number two, to guide them through the right way of intervention. Of course, when we go there, we're not going to ask them to come to our clinics. We're going to send them to تأمين الصحي hospitals. So that's another point. So we're not going there for our own interest. We're actually going there just to help the student get the right intervention almost free of a charge. Because as far as we know, every student in the school system in public schools is insured, and he or she can receive the intervention في مستشفيات التأمين الصحي free. So number 3 point is the fact that if the مديرية, if the Ministry of Health or Department of Health and Medicine has some kind of records, you guys will be the ones to update these kind of records, okay? And if we do not have the records in here, we're going to be the pioneers in establishing this kind of way. We're going to be the first people ever to pave the road for others to come after us in order for them to continue on our footsteps. So شكرا يا فندم. انا والله شكرا والله معايا الشغل بتاع شكرا.
مش عايز حاجه؟
شكرا يا فندم والله يبارك فيك. شكرا.
تشرب حضرتك تشرب حاجه؟ طبعا مش عايز اعطل الدكتور. طيب ماشي حاضر بس شويه كده عشان الدكتور ما يزعلش.
لا يا فندم. Number 2 objective is just to number 3 objective, as a matter of fact, is to update the records if we have any about how many kids in the school system, how many kids in the from gender perspective, let us say female students between the age of this and that, or male students between the age of this and that have scoliosis and have kyphosis and have talus equinovarus and these kind of issues. So if the Department of Health and Medicine does not have the record, we're going to be the pioneers in establishing this kind of thing. We're going to change people's mentality around us. We're going to be paving the road for others to come after us in order for them to follow our footsteps and take other huge, more way bigger steps than ours, because we're the first ones to do these kind of things. When they come, they're going to find the road already paved for them to take the steps on. And number 4 point is the fact that if we consider ourselves as pioneers in here, but we're not pioneers if we look at other countries in the whole universe. Because if you look at, we consider Egypt as a developing country, but how about if you look at developed countries, okay? Too many countries not only send therapists to schools in order for them to assess or identify kids with 1 or 2 or 3 problems, but they do actually have therapists go to schools in daily basis. Almost every single school in some of the states in America do have therapists who go there in daily basis. And when we go over the lecture, we're going to know why. So you actually helping your community in trying your best to take another step toward helping your country being a developed country instead of being a developing country. Number 5 or 6 step or point that among the reasons we're going to be going to the school system in order to assist kids for musculoskeletal deformities is the fact that if you go, from my point of view, if you go to the school system and take your ergonomic perspective in mind and get to the classroom, you're going to be shocked seeing a very big student sitting in a very tiny desk, or vice versa, you're going to be seeing a very tiny student sitting in a very big desk, okay? And this is your perspective. When you start talking to the teacher, you're not going to be only helping the student himself, but you're going to be also helping the teacher himself, because when the teacher go home, the teacher is going to be talking to his family members about the right way of sitting, how posture can affect your back, and how posture can affect your spine, and how posture can affect our kids, and these kind of things. Number 7 point is the fact that, from my point of view as well, when we go there, and let us say you find the student with a fixed scoliotic deformity in the spine, okay? Okay, exactly, you're gonna help the student go to the right path of getting the right intervention at the right time. But how about if you see a student who's leaning all the way to one side because of hard hearing? How about if you see a student who's leaning all the way to one side because of being nearsighted? He cannot see the board very well. From my point of view, you're going to be the pioneers in not only going to the school system in order to identify kids with musculoskeletal problems, but you're going to be able to raise red flags about the need for other interventionists to go to the school system in order to assist students for other disabilities or other impairments. So when you go there, you can actually conclude to the administrators that while being there, I noticed the fact that too many kids are nearsighted. And because of being nearsighted, they sit leaning on one side. Or too many kids are hard hearing. And because of being hard hearing, they actually lean all the way to one side. And this, from my point of view, they can force them to develop this scoliotic curve. And from another perspective, how about if we send other specialists to go to the school system and assist the students for visual impairment or hearing impairment? Okay, so that's another point for being pioneers while going there. The other point I have in mind is the fact that, because from my own experience, I noticed that too many families with disabled kids or deformed kids with disabilities do not send their kids to school. And from my point of view, that's a very, very shameful thing. When you go to the school system and talk about this kind of perspective to students and teachers and administrators, you're going to help in a change in this kind of mentality in order for us to be able to send our kids with disabilities. I heard about so many kids with spina bifida who are very intellectually perfect, but they stay home the whole lifelong because of being disabled. So when you go there and talk to students and teachers, administrators, you're going to help it change this kind of perspective or mindset in order for us to have these kind of people to change their mentality about kids with disabilities or kids with deformities in order for them to receive the education they deserve. These objectives, from my point of view, if you guys were not convinced before hearing these kind of objectives, now I believe all of us are. Anybody is still not convinced with the fact that we're going to be going to the school system in order to assist students for musculoskeletal deformities? All of us are convinced? Okay. Any question about the objective of our going there? So far, so good. Okay, number 2 point. If we gonna talk about musculoskeletal deformities, from my point of view, we have to get back to some basics. And basics about assessing students for musculoskeletal deformities will be axis and planes. Very, very simple thing, very, very basic thing, but it's very, very important for us to go over them like quickly. We do not have the handout, but the handout have the skull with its sutures, where the sagittal suture goes from anterior to posterior in the skull, okay? And that's exactly where the sagittal plane goes, okay? So if we imagine a person standing in front of us and with the sagittal suture of the skull that divides the whole body into a right and a left halves, 2 equal halves, okay? Imagine if you have a person standing in front of you, and you have like a wooden board that goes, imaginary of course, imaginary wooden board that goes right in the middle with this kind of suture. This is what we call the sagittal plane.
Lateral view.
That's what we're gonna use when we assess kyphosis and scoliosis. This is why we're going over axis and planes. For you to go stand and, because the flow of the lecture is we starting with the basics and then we're gonna go to the assessment itself. So, and this is exactly why I'm talking about axes and planes, okay? So the number one plane is the sagittal plane that goes with the sagittal suture of the skull. That's an imaginary board that divides the human body into two equal halves, the right and the left half. The sagittal axis goes the same way, from anterior to posterior, but it's just a line, not a board that divides the whole body. It's just a line. If you look at the skull as well from the top, you're going to see another suture, which is the frontal or coronal, and that's exactly how the frontal, coronal, or lateral plane goes. That's an imaginary board that goes with the frontal suture of the skull and divides the body into an anterior and a posterior portion. When we spoke about the sagittal plane, we divided the body into two equal halves. And this is very, very important for us when we get to the symmetry of our human body. As a very, very important thing for us as therapists to consider looking at when we come to the assessment point. So the sagittal plane actually divides the human body into a right and left halves, two equal halves. But the other planes do not. They divide them, but into two portions, the anterior portion and the posterior portion, okay? When it comes to the transverse plane, it is actually the plane that divides the whole body. It goes with the middle part of the body, like if you imagine the board, the wooden board, divide the body into a top cephalic portion and a bottom caudal portion, okay? And when we talk about this kind of plane as well, we talk about it as a plane that divides the body into two portions, not two halves. With the frontal or coronal plane goes the frontal or coronal axis, and it goes from right to left. It just looks like a line, imaginary line, not a plane. So the other basic thing that we need to talk about is the normal anatomical position, because that's exactly the position we're going to ask the student to be standing when we look at the student from the different planes, from the lateral view, from the frontal view, from the posterior view, from these kind of views. We have to ask the student to stand in the normal anatomical position, which is standing upright against gravity with a small distance between the feet, with 2 feet are slightly laterally rotated, with both palms facing forward. This is the normal anatomical position. You might encounter another definition or another terminology, which is normal zero position, which is the same exact thing as the normal anatomical position, but with the hands in the middle, not the palms facing forward, but the thumb facing forward, both thumbs facing forward. Okay, center of gravity. Center of gravity is the point where all axes and planes meet in the center of the human body. Okay, line of gravity, it's another thing. It's an imaginary line that goes inside the human body from cephalo to caudal and goes all the way to the floor, right in the middle between the two malleoli. Okay, so far so good. These are like very, very basic things for us to consider in order for us to go to the school system, and because we're going to need them with every single second while assessing the students, looking at them from the anterior, posterior, lateral, while sitting and standing, prone and supine. The other thing is, as very good physical therapists, I have 5 points in mind that we all should consider looking at while we assessing any kind of student, any kind of patient. Just stay focused with me, because this is a question you guys are going to answer. I have the question in mind. It's not written in books. It is my own legacy in my field, in my career, that when you meet a patient, when you see a child, when you see an adult come into your office, or even from my point of view, when I walk in the street, I look at people, this is the perspective I look at people as a physical therapist while walking in the street. 5 points I have in mind. What are they? Assessing students, assessing kids, assessing babies, assessing adults. Just get to my mind and read it, please, and tell me any of these 5. Anyone?
Gait. Gait.
I need you to consider what you're going to look at from the first spot. Of course, from gait you can get to diagnosis, okay? But I want you to have very, very valuable points in mind in order for you to establish a plan. Too close. What else? 5 different things. 5 different things. Very, very important for us as therapists. 5 different things. Very, very important, very basic. When you hear them, you're gonna regret not saying anything. Huh? Five very, very important things. 5 very important. Too close. There is one only person who talks. What's going on? What happened? Okay, anyone else? 5 things that are very, very important for us as therapists to consider assessing and looking at. Students, patients, adult patients, babies, kids, toddlers, no matter. Even while walking in the street. Looking at your kids, if you have kids. Looking at your kids when you have kids. Anyone? Okay. We spoke about a very good thing. Alaikum salam. Just a few minutes ago, we stated the fact that Allah created the human body as symmetrical. Okay? Symmetry means, and that's a very, very important thing for us as therapists to consider looking at. Symmetry is you have a human body that if you imagine the plane that goes in the middle and divide the body into 2 equal halves, right half and left half. This means what? Symmetry. Okay? So as therapists, first thing ever you have to consider looking at while looking at a patient, while looking at a child, while looking at the street, at people around you, you have to look at symmetry. Are they symmetrical or asymmetrical? The right half of their body is symmetrical with the left half, or there is a problem. If they are symmetrical, this is good. Okay? If they're not, so asymmetry will take you to some.
في علاج طبيعي فأنا
تفضل فندم، عليك السلام. تفضل فندم.
يبقى التاني.
يا فندم تحت أمرك. So if you look at symmetry and you find the human body in front of you, the person whom you're trying to assess symmetrical, okay, that's a very, very good point to start with. If there is any kind of asymmetry, so our intervention is going to start, our assessment is going to start. If we're still talking about the first point, we have other 4 to talk about, but talking about symmetry and asymmetry, is it only the shape that we should look at? If we're talking about symmetry, is it only the shape that we should look at? Symmetry. Shape, only shape. What else? Huh? We are therapists. Shape. Huh? Size. Huh? Third thing, when we look at symmetry, function. Okay? So it is 3 different things that relate to symmetry. Number 1 is size, shape. Number 1 is shape, number 2 is size, and number 3 is the function of this part that we're trying to assess. Let me just give you an example. Very quick example. We're looking at a student who's standing up right in front of us, okay? And we see torticollis, deviation from symmetry, okay? It's just unilateral, one side. Because when we get to deformities with the lower extremities, we're gonna talk about physiologic change of shape, because deformity means what? Deformity means a change of shape, okay? Any change of shape from the norm is considered from our perspective as deformity. But if you guys go to the school system and look at some kids with bow legs, okay? You have to understand exactly that some of these deformities, some of these changes are normal, are physiologic. So we have to be able to identify the difference between pathologic and physiologic, okay?
But physiological, there is no normal symmetry, in the right. There is no right.
Yes, a therapist is awake now. Very good thing, very good thing. يعني والله العظيم, I really appreciate your coming. Very good point he's trying to raise is the fact that this is the reason I'm saying that we have a lot of information to take in our 2 days of talking about this kind of lecture. And this is one valuable thing, that if you look at symmetry, this one we're going from we're taking baby steps toward the target we have in mind. If you look at symmetry, and we said we have to be symmetrical in shape, symmetrical in size, and symmetrical in function. So when we go to normal physiologic deformity, would it be asymmetrical or symmetrical? What Dr. Abdurrahman was saying just now. It has to be symmetrical, ya jama'ah, symmetrical. There is no difference between the right side and left side. This is why we're symmetrical. Allah created us as symmetrical human beings. Any difference in shape, size, or function, This is asymmetry. So if there is a difference in shape, this means what? One leg is bowed and the other one is not. One leg is in a knock-knee position and the other one is not. So this is what? This is pathological. But if you took a toddler, let us say 2 years old, and you find bow legs, physiologic, symmetrical, would you consider it as a problem? You have to go to the next step. It might be, but you have to go to the next step, which is the measurement, your own measurement, or having a specialist like an orthopedic doctor check him, or have an X-ray done, and these kind of things. But this is the reason for us to consider symmetry. We understand the point of us to mention the axis and planes of the human body just now, and now we're trying to understand the fact that why we insist to mention the 5 perspectives that every therapist has to have in mind before going to the school system. Not only before going to the school system to assist students for musculoskeletal deformities, but while being in a clinic, while being in a hospital, while being in the street, while being at home, while being no matter where, we should have these kind of 5 points in mind. So number 1 is symmetry, okay? Number 2, maybe you guys, I'm trying to make myself as close to your minds, okay? If we talk about symmetry, what is next? Dr. Mahmoud said posture, too close to posture, too close to posture. None of us is sitting in the right way. Alignment, body alignment. What is the reason for us to deal with patients, adults or kids? Symmetry, we're taking it step by step. Symmetry, not even a single child come to my clinic symmetrical or aligned properly. Same as your patients, adult, hemiplegic, paraplegic, tetraplegic, no matter, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, symmetry, okay, and alignment, they're not in the normal shape. So number 2 thing is alignment, body alignment. Our human body has to be aligned in standing, and aligned in sitting, and aligned while walking. Any deviation, and all deformities will be considered as deviation from the norm. Any deviation is a big problem for the human body. Why? Because when we start talking about scoliosis and deformities, deviation is not going to stay as only deviation in one part of the body, but it's going to lead to compensation in another part of the body. When we talk about adults, it could be muscle weakness, it could be muscle tightness, it could be, okay? So number 1 thing is symmetry, number 2 is alignment, and number 3 is, I need somebody to help. Number 3, symmetry, alignment, 3. From the physical therapy standpoint, symmetry, alignment, posture is alignment. That's why Dr. Mahmoud said posture and we said too close, okay? Symmetry, alignment, therapist. Therapist will be looking at strength, okay? Muscle strength. Your patient have to have a weak muscle somewhere in their body. If they have shoulder pain, if they have neck pain, if they have knee pain, if they have back pain, no matter what they have, if my own kids, Down syndrome or cerebral palsy, or these kind of kids, they do have some muscle weakness somewhere, okay?
How can I know this thing from last vision?
No. We spent like how many minutes so far? No, like 30 minutes? We still have 2 days to go, okay? Just stay calm. We're gonna take it slowly, bit by bit. So number 1 is symmetry, number 2 is alignment, number 3 is strength, and number 4, for physical therapists to consider looking at an assistant, Number 4, range of motion. He has a limited elbow range, he has a limited wrist range, he has a limited knee range, he has a limited back, spinal range, whatever, okay? So symmetry, alignment, strength, range. Number 5. Stem. Deformity. Deformity is alignment. It's under the category alignment. And symmetry as well. Symmetry, alignment, strength, range, pain. Okay? Pain. Pain is a messenger that comes to any person in the whole universe in order to inform the person that your body is not in a good symmetrical shape, is not in a good aligned shape, is not in a good strength shape, is not in a good range shape, so it's going to end up with pain. So you have to seek it. Okay? So if we find the student in the first stages, and this is why we're going now there, we're not going to leave the kids till to have all of this together. We're not going to leave them asymmetrical till they are malaligned, till they have limited muscle strength, a limited range of motion, and having pain because they are kids. Okay? So considering or having these kind of points in mind, I'm going to just take you back to the target population we're going to be assessing from your own point of view. What age range we should be looking at? علاج طبيعي. I forgot what I was saying. Okay, yeah. The age range that the target population, our target population, what age range we should consider assessing when we go to the school system? Would we go to high schools, اللي هي الثانوية? Would we go to إعدادي, primary, prep? I don't remember what you guys call it here. What age group we should look at? Okay? We should look at from our point of view, from my point of view, from the textbook and research, evidence-based practice point of view, we should assess kids from 5 years old to 11 years old. Why? Why should we assess students between the age of 5 and 11? Why not after that? Did you guys have your breakfast today? If not, I can buy you some.
عشان لو محتاج تعمل intervention يبقى أسرع شوية.
Early intervention. ماشي كويس. Anything else?
الجروب اللي عنده لو فضلت فترة أكتر ممكن تبقى فيكسد معاه.
Structural deformity. That's a very important thing in our mind as physical therapists. When you talk about deformity, puberty transforms the deformity from non-structural deformity to a structural deformity. So if you guys consider going to the school system, you should go early on the age. Go early. 5 years old is what you call KG1, okay, till the age of 11, okay? We're not going to say we're not going to look at other students, no, but this is very important for us as pioneers to start these kind of things. Very important for us to catch these kind of kids before puberty transform their deformity from a non-structural to a structural one. Non-structural is a not fixed deformity, but the structural deformity is a fixed one. Okay? So our target population would be the students in the school system, in public schools, age group from 5 years old to 11 years old, and exactly we know the reason for us to go there at this age in order for us to stop this kind of deformity from being structural. When we spoke about the way kids sit in the classroom, and we mentioned the fact that they could be sitting there slouched or could be sitting there leaning all the way to one side because of hard hearing or nearsighted or because the desk is too big or the desk is too small, okay? One other point that we should consider looking at while we're talking about this is the school bag, okay? Very important for us to look at the type of school bag and the size of the school bag, the weight of the school bag, okay? Because too many kids still carry the one-handle school bag on one side, okay? And of course, this will force the student to lean on one side, and this will force the spine of the already being the student who is still very early on the age, developing and growing every day in daily paces, leaning on one side in daily paces, spending how many hours carrying this heavy bag, okay, this might develop the scoliotic curve in the spine of the system. So in order for us to go there, we have to consider the fact that evidence and research and the studies state the fact that the weight of the school bag should be between 10 to 20% of the student weight. Okay, not to exceed this kind of thing. Too many studies stated the fact that 10%, 12%, 15% up to. Wallahi, yani when you guys go there, you will be talking to staff, you will be talking to students, you'll be talking to administrators. You're gonna get back to your administrators in here, in the Department of Health in Venezuela, and suggest, if I were you, I'm gonna be coming back from these kind of places with a proposal, with some kind of points. I noticed this and this and this and that, and these are my recommendations. Please do them. Okay? If they can, they will do. If they can, they can. Look, I have something else in mind. How about if you get to a classroom and you see every single student sitting in a very big desk that is not proper, is not appropriate for his size? What are you gonna do? You're gonna just recommend the fact that these desks are too big for these students, okay? Or vice versa. How about if you go to a classroom and you find the size of the kids is too big to the desks? You're gonna recommend it to them inside the classroom, to the administrators of the school, or to your administrators at least, okay? These desks are too tiny, are too small for the size of these students. How about if you find one student, very big size student inside the classroom, and this is the only student who has his desk that is squeezing his body and forcing him to lean on one side, or to sit slouched, or to sit with a kyphotic curve. You're gonna be talking about this specific case. Or vice versa, if you see a student who's too tiny and sitting in a very big chair, so it's just one student. So you might encounter a problem that is facing the whole classroom, and you might encounter a problem that is facing just one student inside the classroom. Any questions so far? So far, so good?
Age range from 5 to 11, maybe due to the time of disability of the
Of course. Puberty, of course, when you go back to puberty and what puberty does,